everyone, welcome to another edition of the Book More Show. It's Stuart here with Dean, and today we're going to go through some of the titles and covers that we particularly like from the books that we've done so far. So we get quite a lot of feedback, and Susan, I know certainly when she's dealing with people onboarding, talks about titles and subheadings quite a lot to really communicate that message. So I thought this would be a good fun play along at home show to talk about some of the ones we like, why we like them. And I probably should start with an apology.
It's all very exciting.
It is. And I'll tell you what, it's been interesting. So looking down the list when we were just getting ready to do the show, looking down the list, it's difficult to pick because there's so many. The designers of Glenn and Sarah over here have done such a fantastic job. Yeah, I probably should apologise to
really
Susan when she listens to this, because we've been talking about doing this show for a while and I've kind of jumped ahead and pushed her off. So Susan will do another one.
Well, forget about that. You should be apologising to me for doing all these episodes, and this is my first experience.
That is a very good point. You're in demand.
There we go. Yeah, exactly.
We were warming people up for the good stuff.
It's all very exciting. There we go.
Okay, so for those playing along at home,
so you want to start and pick up?
Yeah, I think so. For those playing along at home, if you go to 90minutebooks.com/gallery, and then you can see the particular titles that we're looking at. So when you're thinking about a cover and a title for your own book, then that will give you something to go against. So the first one I picked out, I think because it was a visual one, was The Focus Edge by Phil Randazzo. To me, every time I look at the gallery, this one stands out. It's very eye-catching. I was saying to someone last week that when thinking about covers and designs, it's kind of the covers spark the reaction, the kind of emotional reaction catches the eye, and then the title and the subheading compels an action. So you kind of got that reaction-action synergy thing coming together. And this one really, because it's got there's a lot of dynamic movement in the cover, so it really catches the eye. And then the title and subheading, so the title's The Focus Edge and the subtitle is How Entrepreneurs Get Shit Done. So it really is quite to the point. There's not really much messing around. It's Phil's done a couple of books, know him quite well, and it's definitely that his emotion of getting stuff done really comes through in that cover. So it's always interesting, that kind of blend between being overly designed and just the right amount of design to catch attention.
Yeah, well, I think part of the thing about the covers is that it's really got to be about the title. That's really the first thing, because that's what's going to tell the story about what the book is about. And I mean, the focus edge definitely gives you a sense of what this is, especially when you say the subtitle. And the only thing that people have to kind of make their decision based on is the cover and the title of your book. I mean, it's the only thing, and that's why I put so much emphasis on really thinking through what the title is and what the benefit of actually reading the book. See, I've always said that the reason that the 90-minute book is such a great tool is that it gives you 80% of the value of the book is the fact that you have a book and the title and the cover. When you look at those things, that's what people are going to make that decision based on. And I'm looking through the gallery here, and I mean, we have two really great designers who I would put these books up against any books that you see anywhere. These are just outstanding. When you see them, this isn't even all of them for sure, but the way that when you look at this, you could see these are really great professional looking books. And so there's something about the psychology of that when people are making a decision or presented with the opportunity to get a book, they look at the title, and if you can convey to people that there's a benefit to it, that it's going to be valuable to them, that upon seeing it, people who you want to be in a conversation with immediately say, I want that. And the focus edge does that. It's really, it's kind of, focus is one of those great emotionally loaded words.
It's the promise of an answer to a question, I think, isn't it? With no kind of ambiguity. It clearly says, it does what it says on the tin.
Yeah. And that's why, so if I'm looking through here, the first one that jumps out at me is Lisa Sasevich, Boost Your Sales. How to use irresistible offers without being salesy. I mean, that just says everything that you want it to say, You see that there's an immediate benefit for reading this book, and you're going to say, you know what, if that's something that I'm interested in, then this is going to be a good tool for me. And, part of the benefit of putting all that emphasis into the title and the cover is that nobody knows whether this book is 50 pages or 250 pages. It does not matter. That's why the 90-minute book works so well, because it doesn't make the boat go faster. And when I say that, it's a term that I use all the time. It's like, if we're looking at the purpose of the book is to get you engaged in a conversation with the ideal person that you can help, the book is just a gateway into a relationship. So if the people that you want to be in a relationship with are, if you can tap into a title and a cover that speaks to them in a way that says, oh, that's for me, I want that. It's not making the boat go faster, meaning it's not improving the response to the book if it's 250 pages versus 50 pages. It doesn't matter, because nobody knows. They don't know that. All they see is it's a book, which is immediately embedded in our consciousness that this is valuable, and this person that wrote this book is an expert, and I want the benefit that this title is offering. Yeah. That's all that matters there. So the fact that it's, 50 pages or 250 pages doesn't matter.
I think we were having a conversation last week with Betsy, I think it was, about the effectiveness of a bigger book versus a smaller book, and that for a lot of people, the downside of even trying to do a bigger book is that there's so much resistance. It's such a big job. It's such a difficult job. And then you run into the risk of trying to be all things to all people rather than specifically answering one question, as you say, starting the conversation.
Right. And you can, but, do that. If you've got more to say about something, then package it differently as, use this as a lead-in, and then save all that other good stuff that you have and put together a modular training course that you can sell for $500 or $1,000 or $1,500. I mean, it's so fun. I mean, I'm a user of this exact system. We have our email mastery book is essentially a 90-minute book, transcripts from the I Love Marketing podcast, where Joe and I did a few episodes about email, but run, full-page ads in Success Magazine, run Facebook campaigns. People download the book for free and then offer them a $1,500 blast or course on email mastery. And that has been far more useful for people and profitable than putting all of that information in a big 250-page or 300-page book.
Exactly. So even from the receiver, the consumer's point of view, the likelihood of reading that 250-page book, I was, again, gave the example just a
Right.
couple of weeks ago. I've bought endless numbers of books, and since the invention of Kindle, it's even worse because there's not the guilt of having it sat visibly on a shelf. But the amount of books I've bought with the absolutely
Right.
100% intention of reading every page, but then not because
Yeah.
life happens. So delivering something afterwards.
Well, I just
concern.
saw really great stats about how the readership of books, now that everything's going to Kindle, they showed the thing that some crazy number, like I want to say, and I reserve the right to be wrong, but the essence of this is that 20 or 30%, it was definitely less than 50% of people ever read past the first 100 pages of a book. And that's measured data from all the Kindle and ebook
Right.
users. They can see how far you get into a book, and those are bestsellers. Books that aren't bestsellers fare even worse.
And again, like I say, it comes back to the job of work. Well, the next one I had on the list kind of reinforces that. Don't get carried away with the design and just offer a title that sells the solution. So that's Tyler Osby's book, The Rent-Free Solution. So this one keeps coming back because it's such a perfect incarnation of this approach. So the title is The Rent-Free Solution. The subheading is How to Stop Renting, Buy a Home in Des Moines and Live in It for Free. Now, every single word on that page conveys the meaning to this single target market that Tyler's looking to engage. It's a relatively blank, it's a white background with just a key fob and a key up in the top corner. So I think he's using every single last bit of real estate there to get the point across and identify the exact people that he can help. It's a really great example of it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's targeted to a single target market. He's got a very clear understanding of who he's trying to target, and then can quickly and easily get this book out, start collecting leads. And if he's got a second market 6 months down the track, then there could be another book that looks at maybe a different area instead of Des Moines, or a different solution.
And that works perfectly with postcards, with Facebook campaigns, all within looking for the specific target market. And of course, Tyler's able to help people get a loan. That's what his core business is, and that's what his intention is he wants to be in a conversation with people who are renting right now because they think that it would cost more money to buy a house, when he's got a way to actually show them how to live for less money than they're paying in rent right now, and in some cases live for free. Yeah, and own the house. So that's a really great example of a specific, solution-oriented kind of cover.
And I think this is the difference. That
I like it.
It really hits the mark. And I think this single target market approach, as opposed to a broader book, really appeal to the group of people that you can best work with. Being able to do this quickly and easily and have something that's very targeted like this. Perfect example.
I like it.
How about a number two? Do you have a number? Well, a second one perhaps rather than number two.
I do. I would say I like the title, Return on Safety. Ensuring a positive return on your investment in workplace safety. And that, originally, I think I talk about this one. I actually, now that I look at it, I think I give it a better subhead than turning workplace. I had a subhead for that one was turning workplace safety into a competitive advantage and bottom line profits. And that, taking something that, and this was one of the earlier books that we did, and Doug has really, had a great experience with this because it elevates something that is decidedly unsexy, workplace safety, which is nothing more in the mind, commoditized than posters and the when you think about that, the kind of thing is people think about it from, we've got to do our compliance there, but Doug's very passionate about it, and he's very skilled at it and knows how to do things in the way that you approach it that actually does create a competitive advantage and creates bottom line profits, even through less downtime from accidents, a better morale, better, easy to recruit and retain workers. There's so many upsides to having, to focusing on workplace safety, but speaking the language of return on safety. And there's several books that we've done in that vein, because I've talked about that a lot of, return on hygiene and return on anything that you can show, something that people wouldn't otherwise think about monetarily. If you can turn it into a bottom line sort of approach where people can get a return on that, that's a win, and it elevates what you're doing in their mind.
Particularly, as you say, for something that's happening anyway, for things that are mandatory, there's no way around it. Creating a competitive advantage by doing it in a more effective way is something that anyone
you might as well embrace it, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's no way around it. It's not something you can avoid. Yeah, it's interesting. That one comes up as an example quite often, being one of the earlier ones that we did. It's interesting to see how many people have then been inspired by that. I think the third one that I picked out then, in a similar vein, conveying a very clear message to a particular group, is Jim Hacking's Staying Here. So Jim's an immigration attorney. The particular group of people that he was working with is international students that are coming to the end of their study. So it's not so much people coming into the country, but it's people already here. And that Staying Here, as we were talking before, I wrote down the words emotional language, as we were talking about the focused edge, but Staying Here, I think, ticks that box as well. I mean, if you could, I don't think you could pick a better title that absolutely embodied what those guys are thinking of at that time.
What their desire is, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that having that passion behind it, or passion's maybe not the right words, but having the emotional connection, not so much from the point of view of you as the writer, but really putting yourself in the position of the reader and what is it that they're looking at. We have quite a few people come to it from the point of view of technical language of the business, or perhaps they're focused a little bit too much on the outcome that they want to achieve themselves rather than putting them in the position of the reader. So I think for people to take a moment and kind of really think about that customer avatar, really think, like you said in the past, imagine that person's just walked into the office. What would you say to them? What's the type of language that they'd be using?
I'm looking at now this is the first time I'm laying eyes on this, is having seen it. The Live to 126, How to Live a Very Long and Healthy Life by Dr. Jim Morris. Now, that is a very, very interesting title. Very specific and very that's pretty cool. You'd at least, if that's something, if longevity is on your radar, that's something that would be very, very interesting,
Do you think 126 gives it more credibility than 125? It seems like a more considered number. There seems to be math behind 126 as opposed to a round number.
You have to wonder. Yeah, exactly. And why 126? It's like such a very specific number. It's great. It's like one better than the highest number that people probably say. It's like this one goes to 11. This is a beautiful cover. Was this Glenn or Sarah that did this one?
I'm not sure. If you talk for a little bit longer, I'll just have a quick look in the system. But as you look down the list, the whole gallery, like you were saying, the variety of the covers and the undoubted professionalism of them. I mean, it's interesting. I see them every day, obviously passing through, but it's not until you take a moment and look at them collectively that you realize how,
Yeah.
just what a
We've done a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. Let me have a quick look whilst I'll be quiet for a minute while you're talking and take a quick look.
Okay. So I think that the big lesson here is, the cover, we're going to make the cover look great. We're really, we haven't had a dud of a cover in the whole bunch. In hundreds of books. And so the cover is going to look great. What's more important is what does it say? And I think that's the magic, is to convey a title that really speaks to your ideal audience. And it's really just about beginning with the end in mind. If you're beginning that, the whole thing is we want to get in conversation with people who we can help. So we backtrack and start to think about, well, what would they really want? Like, where are they now? And what would be something that would help start that conversation? Even if it's different than what they think right now. Even if they don't know what they don't know, so you have to meet them where they are. And by that, I mean, something that is going to just start the conversation is different maybe than the destination that they're gonna
Right.
end up with.
Yeah.
I think immediately of hypnotize your husband. And, I'm very, that's one of the very first ones we did. I actually created this with, I named, Yevgeny is his real name, but I named him Yuri Zolov. And hypnotize your husband is just such a curiosity-inducing book that, when you're speaking to somebody who is going to be attracted to that, that's a gateway into all the other things that hypnosis can do, because they might not be sort of attracted to a book called about what hypnosis can do for them, all the other things, including smoking and weight loss and all of those things. But now that you're starting the conversation about hypnosis, you get to use the conversation about the husband to demonstrate how hypnosis works and start a conversation that leads to them doing other types of hypnosis with themselves.
I think that's a fascinating point, isn't it? To remind people that it is the gateway. It's the start of the conversation. It's not convincing people of an answer or getting people to think about your mindset. Mm-hmm. It's just the start of the conversation towards attracting the people who self-select themselves as interested and aligned.
That's exactly it. I just had tea with Julie Matthews, who is a hypnosis practitioner and a hypnotist. And this cover is not on here yet, but we've got in the works a book called Willpower Schmillpower, right? Why trying to lose weight almost never works and what to do instead. So it doesn't even bring hypnosis into the conversation in the beginning. It talks about willpower, how ineffective willpower is in trying to lose weight. So we start off with a sentiment that everybody can relate to. Willpower, schmillpower. That's just such a nice transition, and to explain why willpower doesn't work, why it fails, exactly, you can relate to exactly what happens, and then bridge that to why that's happening is because your deeper subconscious is what's really in control.
Yeah.
And then you start that conversation and lead people to, at the end of the book, an opportunity to call and listen to a recorded message that will tell you whether you can be hypnotized. And so always leading to the next step, that's really the title, and the cover is really just the first step in the conversation that turns the invisible prospect into a visible prospect.
Yeah, I think that's key, isn't it? It is it's almost a superpower. I think people are quite familiar with that type of approach in a direct marketing campaign or a postcard campaign or an AdWords campaign. But I think letting people know that it's now possible with a slightly different tool, a slightly different asset, it really opens up a whole other category of people to appeal to, and then also carries through with it some of the authority of being a published author. But that's secondary to the direct response approach of here's a single target market, meet them in the conversation that they're having. I just looked back at Live to 126, and it was a Glenn Linton special. So
good. I figured that's good.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah. I'm going to reach out to Jim as well and see if we can do a show in the future. We just had Glenn McQueenie on last week talking about the doors that his books opened. Jim's had used quite a lot of physical books in his campaigns. He's ordered quite a lot. So I think if we can get him on the show and look at the success he's had. Perfect. Fantastic. Okay, well, let's wrap up there. I think that was a good run through. Again, anyone that wants to play along at home, if you just go to 90minutebooks.com/gallery, and you can see all of the covers that we've been talking about today and a lot of the other ones that we've done. It's a great resource for people trying to get inspiration on both titles and design. Any final words from over there?
Yeah, I think that there's, when you look at the gallery, you're going to see all the covers are awesome. It's going to be great. The cover's going to be great. But I think that, picking a cover, you could have a cover as simple as the one that Tyler Osby has. The cover is, I would say to people, don't sweat it as much as you might, like the little things like this shade of blue versus this shade, or this, the little things. I just look at the big thing and say, is it going to make the boat go faster? Spend your time sweating over the title, and let's, get the cover. Let's get the, a good looking cover and get it out into the world. That's really it,
Fantastic. Okay, well, thanks, guys. Let's wrap up there, and we'll catch you on the next show. Thank you.
Thanks.